nobody in my family was happy.
Picking up more things from adults than I were from kids my own age.
Will Smith once admitted something most parents would never say out loud. He believes he pushed his own son into a movie that ended up breaking their relationship. And according to Will himself, Jaden never fully trusted his leadership the same way again. That's a brutal thing for any father to admit. Because this isn't just another Hollywood story about a bad movie. This is about what happens when a parent's dream becomes bigger than their child's ability to carry it. It's about pressure, expectations, and the hidden cost of growing up as the son of one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. In this video, we're going to break down why Will became so determined to turn Jaden into Hollywood's next superstar, how one movie changed their relationship forever, and why a 15-year-old Jaden seriously considered becoming an emancipated minor after everything fell apart. But here's where people disagree. Some fans think Will was simply doing what every loving parent would do, opening doors for his child and giving him opportunities most kids could only dream about. Others believe Will crossed a line. They argue that he pushed Jaden into a spotlight he wasn't emotionally ready for, and when things went wrong, it was Jaden who took the public beating. Stick around, because by the end of this video you'll understand why Will Smith now calls one of his biggest parenting decisions a terrible mistake. Now here's the thing. People love throwing around the word Nepo baby. And yes, Jaden Smith absolutely had advantages that most young actors never get. When your parents are Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, doors open before you even knock. That's just reality. But what people don't always understand is that privilege comes with another kind of pressure. Imagine being 7 years old. Before you even know who you are, the whole world already knows your last name. Before you say your first full sentence, people are taking your picture. Before you make your first real friend, strangers already have opinions about you. Jaden once said people were following him around while he was still in a stroller. Think about that. Most kids spend their childhood trying to figure out what games they like. Jaden spent his trying to understand why complete strangers cared about his life. Because of that, his childhood never looked normal. He later admitted that he spent more time around adults than kids his own age. Movie sets, business meetings, film premieres, award shows. That's where he grew up.
I was picking up more things from adults than I were from kids my own age. And I look, and I go around sometimes and I hang out with other people that are my age, and they're just kind of just yeah.
While other children were worrying about homework, Jaden was surrounded by producers, directors, actors, and executives. He even said that he related to adults more easily than people his own age because that was the environment he knew best.
Me, like, they would be having a meeting about their next film or something, and they would put me at the head of the table and just make me sit there while they talk and debate with all these people, talk numbers, talk crazy stuff.
Now, that might sound impressive, but it also meant he missed out on something most of us take for granted, a normal childhood. No matter how much money your parents have, you can't buy that back. Then came the opportunity that changed everything. In 2006, Will Smith wanted his son to play Christopher, the little boy in The Pursuit of Happyness. It sounds obvious now because the movie became a classic, but back then, the studio wasn't convinced. Executives reportedly worried it would look like blatant favoritism. After all, Will was one of the biggest stars in the world. Casting his own son could easily look like Hollywood nepotism. Will didn't back down. He fought for Jaden. He believed his son was perfect for the role. Eventually, he got his way. And honestly, the gamble worked.
So I'm laying in the bed, Jaden was laying in the bed one night, and I'm looking at the screenplay, and he's 5. He says, "I can do that, Daddy." And I put him with Gabrielle, and he read, and Gabrielle teared up. But the studio felt like it was going to look like I was just putting my son in a movie, and they were like, "Please don't, that's going to kill it."
The movie became a massive success. Critics praised Jaden. Audiences loved the father and son chemistry. It looked like Will had been right all along. But success has a funny way of hiding future problems. Because after that movie, something changed. Jaden wasn't just Will Smith's son anymore. He became Hollywood's next child star. Every studio suddenly wanted him. Every interview compared him to his father. Every performance came with impossible expectations. And here's where I think Will made the same mistake a lot of successful parents make. He assumed that because Jaden could do something, it meant he should. There's a huge difference. Being talented at 7 years old doesn't automatically mean you're emotionally ready for the life that comes with fame, especially when your dad is one of the biggest movie stars on earth. Instead of letting Jaden slowly discover who he wanted to become, life sped up really fast. Movies, press tours, red carpets, interviews. The world wasn't watching a kid anymore. It was watching Will Smith's son. And that's a title that's almost impossible to live up to. At first, nobody noticed the pressure building. From the outside, everything looked perfect. A famous family, hit movies, millions of dollars, a child star living what looked like the dream. But sometimes, the hardest battles are the ones nobody can see. And in Jaden's case, the biggest battle hadn't even started yet, because Will Smith wasn't finished building his son's career. He was just getting started. And the next movie he planned for Jaden wouldn't simply become a box office disappointment, it would become the moment that changed their relationship forever. Now here's where everything started falling apart. After The Pursuit of Happyness and The Karate Kid became huge hits, Will Smith was convinced he'd figured it out. In his mind, he wasn't just raising a son anymore. He was building Hollywood's next superstar. And honestly, who could blame him? The Karate Kid made over $350 million worldwide. Critics loved Jaden. People were saying he had real talent. From the outside, it looked like father and son couldn't miss. That's probably why Will became even more ambitious. He wasn't thinking about making another good movie. He was thinking about making a legendary one. That's how After Earth happened. Now if you remember that movie, you probably remember one thing. People hated it. Not just a little. They absolutely tore it apart. Critics called it boring. Fans said it wasted both Will and Jaden. Some even joked it was just a 2-hour father-son therapy session filmed in space. But here's what most people don't know. The worst reviews weren't what hurt Will the most. It was watching what happened to Jaden afterward. Because the internet can be brutal. Especially when you're 15 years old. People weren't just criticizing the movie. They were criticizing Jaden, calling him a bad actor, calling him spoiled, calling him another Hollywood nepo baby who only got the role because of his last name. Imagine reading all of that every single day as a teenager. Most kids get embarrassed if someone laughs at them in school. Jaden had millions of people laughing at him online. That's a completely different level of pressure. And here's the part that changed everything. Years later, Will admitted that After Earth was one of the biggest mistakes of his entire career. Not because the movie flopped, because of what it did to his son. In his memoir, Will said the failure crushed Jaden. He said Jaden took the blame personally, even though he was just a kid following his father's vision. Then Will admitted something that honestly shocked a lot of people. He said Jaden lost trust in his leadership. Think about those words. Not, he was disappointed. Not, he was upset. He lost trust. That's much deeper. Because trust isn't something you lose over one bad review. Trust breaks when someone you believe in leads you somewhere painful. According to Will, Jaden felt like he'd been pushed into something that wasn't really his dream. And maybe that's where the real lesson is. There's a huge difference between giving your child opportunities and deciding what their future should look like.
We made a very, very, very terrible mistake with our children, and we went with radical honesty. So look, don't do it. No, listen, it's terrible. Because they do whatever they want, and they just come tell you.
Will has admitted that, at the time, he genuinely believed he was helping. He thought he was opening doors, giving Jaden every advantage he never had growing up in West Philadelphia. But looking back, he realized he was making too many decisions for his son. Instead of asking, "What do you want?" he was asking, "How do we make you the biggest star possible?" Those are two very different questions. Then came the moment that completely blindsided him. Jaden told his parents he wanted to become an emancipated minor. Basically, he wanted legal independence. When people first heard that story, they immediately assumed Jaden hated his parents. That wasn't really the case. Years later, Jaden explained that he wasn't trying to run away from his family. He simply wanted the freedom to make his own choices. Still, imagine hearing that as a father. You've spent your whole life trying to protect your child. Then one day, he tells you he wants independence from you. Will later admitted it broke his heart. He said it was one of the most painful moments of his life. Not because Jaden actually went through with it, he didn't. But because it forced Will to realize something. His son wasn't asking for more money, more fame, or more opportunities. He was asking for ownership of his own life. That's when Will says everything changed. He stopped trying to control every step. He started listening more. Instead of acting like the CEO of his children's future, he tried to become something much simpler, a dad. Looking back now, Will has said he regrets treating parenting like another Hollywood project. Movies have scripts, children don't. Movies follow your vision. Children eventually create their own. And no matter how successful you are, no parent gets to write that ending for them. That realization didn't erase what happened with After Earth. It didn't magically fix the hurt, but it completely changed the way Will approached fatherhood. Because sometimes the biggest lesson doesn't come from your greatest success. It comes from the failure that forces you to become a different person. And for Will Smith, that failure wasn't really after Earth. It was realizing he almost lost his son's trust trying to build his son's career. Here's the part that makes this story a lot more complicated. If you only watched the headlines, you'd probably think Jaden grew up resenting his parents. But that's not really what happened. As he got older, Jaden started explaining something that most people completely missed. He wasn't angry because his parents loved him too much. He was frustrated because they were trying to protect him from becoming his own person. See, Will and Jada had always believed in giving their kids freedom. They let Jaden dress how he wanted, think how he wanted, question everything. To a lot of parents, that looked crazy. But to Will and Jada, it was intentional. The problem was, when it came to Jaden's career, that freedom suddenly became a lot more complicated. Because it's one thing to let your child choose what clothes to wear. It's another thing to build a billion-dollar career around them before they're old enough to understand what that really means. That's why Jaden slowly started stepping away from Hollywood. Did you notice that? He started making music. He launched the MSFTS Rep Collective. He got into fashion. He started talking about environmental projects. He created the Just Water Company to focus on sustainable drinking water. Some people laughed at him. Others thought he was trying too hard to be different. But maybe he was simply trying to figure out who Jaden Smith actually was. Not Will Smith's son, not Hollywood's child star, just Jaden. And honestly, that's something almost everybody goes through. The difference is, most of us don't have millions of people watching while we figure it out. Imagine making normal teenage mistakes, except the whole internet has an opinion. Imagine trying a new hairstyle and it trends on Twitter. Imagine saying something weird at 16 and people are still quoting it 10 years later. That's the life Jaden grew up in. Eventually, even Will admitted something that probably changed their relationship forever. He realized success isn't something you can force onto another person. In interviews after releasing his memoir, Will talked about learning to stop controlling everything. Instead of trying to shape his children's lives, he started respecting their decisions. That's a huge shift, especially for someone who spent his entire career believing that if you work hard enough, plan carefully enough, and stay disciplined enough, you can control the outcome. Parenting doesn't work like that. Children aren't movie scripts. You don't get to rewrite their personality because the ending doesn't match your expectations. Looking back now, Will says his biggest job isn't creating successful kids. It's creating happy ones. That's a completely different goal. And if you look at Jaden today, you can actually see that change. He's no longer trying to become the next Will Smith. He's built his own lane. Some people love his music, some don't. Some think he's eccentric. Others think he's one of Hollywood's most creative young artists. But whether you like him or not, nobody can say he isn't being himself. Ironically, that may be the biggest lesson Will ever taught him. Not through After Earth, not through acting, not through success, through failure. Sometimes parents spend years trying to prepare their children for the world, only to realize the world they're preparing them for doesn't even exist anymore. Will grew up believing success meant becoming the biggest movie star possible. Jaden grew up believing success meant having the freedom to choose his own path. Neither idea is completely wrong. They're just different. And maybe that's why their relationship survived. Because somewhere along the way, Will stopped trying to create another Will Smith and started accepting the son he actually had. That's probably the happiest ending the story could have had. Not because After Earth became a classic. It didn't. Not because all the criticism disappeared. It didn't. But because both father and son eventually learned something most families never talk about. Love isn't controlling someone's future. Love is giving them the space to write it themselves. And looking back, Will Smith now says one of the biggest failures of his career became one of the greatest lessons of his life. Not about movies, not about fame, about fatherhood. Because at the end of the day, your children don't need you to build their